Thought you would too. Given who your father was, I knew he knew how to solve a problem before it became a problem. I find it funny you went and got a white boy just like Ghost did. Tell me something. He was crazy as Tommy.
Respect, status, legacy, and chess moves. Episode 3 was an episode where characters began to put the wheels in motion in regards to what they believe is their birthright. But revelations and secrets about characters, past and present, is set to shake the very core and foundation of Power Book 2 Ghost, although as we know, there's still a lot more to be revealed, which you would think would happen pretty soon. Now in this recap and breakdown for episode 3, we're going to focus on all the major talking points from Birthright, looking at a bunch of clues, Easter eggs, along with a theory or two. We'll be focusing on the theme of how characters believe the game is their destiny, the legacy of past and present characters, how certain chess moves were made using the 48 laws of power, but also how Tariq has a long way to go if he wants to achieve the same legacy, status, respect, and the name his father had.
You know the easiest way to sneak up on your enemies is to make them think that they already won. Sneak attack.
Gotta be one move ahead.
Nah, son, you gotta be 3 moves ahead. Checkmate.
He may not be here no more, but ghosts never die.
Now this episode kicks off with a meeting which was set up by Pinky. Tariq and Brayden were here at the pier to sell both of their cars. Not only were they in desperate need for cash, I do think it was also in Tariq's best interest to get rid of the Porsche. A car like this rolling around New York, it would definitely catch a lot of attention. Not to mention, he did steal it back from 2-Bit, who will definitely be on the hunt. Although with this car not in Tariq's possession, Tariq can basically turn around and say he knows nothing about who stole the Porsche, but I am still expecting 2-Bit to return at some point. Now it was also quite ironic, Pinky's Connect mentioned how they were 2 rich kids who pissed away their dad's fortune, because that's exactly what they've done, more so in Tariq's case, but he is doing what's necessary, taking 1 step back to move 2 forward. However, just like father like son, he always tends to make a lot of moves behind his partner's back, and I do feel this will become a problem as they start to build their operation. It is a partnership to begin with, but Brayden's soon to be reckless lifestyle and a potential new love interest will no doubt create cause for concern, and then I feel Tariq will have a decision to make. This is why I also feel like we will end up coming back to this conversation around how Tariq said no more secrets. I do feel like it will go both ways. Both will have some secrets at some point in season 4, and I do feel it will test their brotherhood like it's never done before. As Tariq's back walking on foot, he's late to his meeting with Monet and Pinky. Monet wanted more information around Kate Egan, but she's nowhere to be found, because as we all know, she's in Chicago. However, Pinky did go back to doing what she does, investigating the situation with Kate Egan. Definitely more on that later on. With Kane and Effie, we pick up with them at Stansfield. We hear Effie admitting how she missed a Stanford interview to help save Kane from Nomar's wrath, and that's because she does care about Kane. Effie doesn't have much family or many people she can rely on. She's never really had many people in her corner, but since Kane was there for her in a moment of need, she was there for Kane when he needed help. However, Effie is still focused on her end goal of getting to Stanford, but what makes her believe that she has a chance? In her own words,
with Noma, you're either in or you're out with a bullet.
The same also goes for Drew and Diana. Drew is focused on making himself Nomar's number 2, despite everything they spoke about before, with how they want to be different, how they want control over their own lives, how they want to free themselves from under the control of Monet. All they did was go from being under the thumb of Monet to now being wrapped around Nomar's finger, which is arguably worse. I mentioned at the end of season 3, the moment they all made this choice to position themselves in Nomar's organization, they were deeper in than they were ever before.
We're drug dealers. That's the family business. That's who we are.
However, with Drew, it does seem like he has finally accepted who they are. On the other hand, Diana is still in denial. She wants out the game. But, just like Effie warned Diana, Drew warns her of pretty much the same. Nomar would kill her for even thinking about it. So, with Diana, I really do feel the writing could be on the wall. I don't think she realizes you can't just walk in and out of the drug game when you please. The game doesn't work like that. I also feel like they have also set the foundation for Kane versus Drew, because there were a few moments in episode 3 where both of them wanted to prove themselves to Nomar. They know the opportunity is there to level up, it just depends on who can impress her the most. It also goes back to the theme of the episode in regards to birthright, respect, and chess moves. Various moves were made by both Kane and Drew. Now with Monet, she wasn't happy at the fact that she was being pushed aside, but the reasons why Nomar wanted her to take a back seat was because she almost blew the deal up with the Russians. Kane and Drew don't seem like they also want her back in either, because both of them can sense this is finally their opportunity to step up and run the Tejada organization. With Diana, we all know she's had a complete change of heart. She feels a lot of remorse for her role in what she did to Monet, but what she did can't be undone. Monet also knows her kids aren't being totally honest with her. It's been 1 month since her shooting, and the only lead she's managed to get is Kate Egan saying Monet gave her Tasha's location, which in her mind makes no sense. Why would Kate Egan, someone who she doesn't even know, lie about Monet giving her Tasha's location? But the reason why she wanted to question Diana, it was because she knew something didn't quite add up. We then saw yet another flashback to a young Monet, Drew, and Diana. The young Monet was determined not to grow up in a life full of struggle. Under pressure, she turned to her kids.
Don't fucking mix our kid with business, Mo. That shit will not end well.
Lorenzo warned, mixing their kids in this world won't end well, and he was right. Just have a look at where they are now. But Monet is the one who raised them this way, and so as Unique once said to Rock about a young Kanan, they were in this shit before they were even in this shit. Now this flashback also served another purpose. Monet was the one who taught her kids how to lie from day one, just like Tasha once did with Tariq.
Don't say more than you have to.
So, you want me to lie?
It's a common theme across mothers in the Power universe, lies and manipulation. But she also knew Diana had a habit of fidgeting. Nobody knows her kids better than she does. It's also why she caught Diana on a lie very early in season 1, when she went behind her back to Lorenzo. So, the moment she saw Diana fidgeting like she used to do when she was a kid, she knew. However, at the same time, she just didn't know why. Now with Davis McLean, his troubles just seem to be getting deeper. The fact that his law license has been suspended hasn't gone down well with some of his big clients, and as his clients walk out the door, so do his paychecks. No doubt, that's also a huge contributing factor in him entering the criminal world with Tariq. Tariq was also here because he needed to source a connect without Nomar and the Tejadas knowing, and he did come to the right place. Davis McLean has a lot of ties to the criminal world, especially because he has defended his fair share of criminals, but it was going to cost Tariq 20%. Now, Davis takes Tariq and Braden to meet someone who he helped once beat a RICO charge, the owner of this fight club, a ring Kane will find himself in at some point in season 4, and who knows, maybe even Braden. But this is where they meet Zion, a character who means business, the crazy character that Gianni and Michael Rainey Jr. mentioned in the Crew Has It podcast, but that's not all. The reason why he agreed to take this meeting was because of Tariq's surname, St Patrick. He knew who Ghost was, which I thought was a really clever touch. We all questioned in season 1, how did Monet and Lorenzo never hear about Ghost and Tommy, or at least hear their names in the street? Ghost was a ghost, not many could put a face to the name, but as Felipe Lobos once said, his name was feared in the streets. With Tommy, he wasn't exactly a ghost, but he was someone who never hid his face. Two of the biggest drug dealers that operated across all 5 boroughs of New York. Of course they should have known or at least heard of them.
See, I know a lot about you, man. I know about your uncle, Tommy. I know about your dad, Ghost. Shit. I even know what you did to that motherfucker.
So where I feel they missed a trick with Mecca, they now have a chance with Zion. He knows just how smart, strategic, and clever Ghost was. But Zion didn't just know Ghost, he also knew Tommy. He found it funny that Tariq's got his own partner, just like Ghost had Tommy, but he questioned, is he as crazy? So, Zion is a character who knows both Ghost and Tommy from the past, who they were and what they were like, but it does remain to be seen how exactly he knows them. He knew Ghost was smart enough to solve a problem before it became a problem. He also knows Tommy is crazy. Did he do business with them and did he know them personally? Will they tie Zion into a small plot hole in OG Power like they did with Mecca? It does seem like there is some history here, because it was said by Davis McLean, the only reason why he took this meeting was because of Tariq's surname, St. Patrick. So to me, it does tell me Zion knew James St. Patrick was Ghost. So, we need to keep our eyes and ears open in the coming episodes, because I'm sure it won't be the last time Ghost and Tommy are mentioned by Zion. For example, does he know Tommy is still alive and in Chicago? Could Zion be a character who could cross over into the next phase of the Power universe after Ghost and Force? There's a lot of questions at this moment in time, but definitely not enough answers. Now Braden wasn't keen to move product for Zion as Tariq was. Tariq knows they don't have too many options at this moment in time, and they do have to take a risk if they want to get back in. But this was interrupted by an SOS from Braden's sister, Rebecca. She's not only coked out of her face, she needs to find new accommodation because they've lost a privilege that comes with a Western name. And I do think Rebecca is someone just to keep a close eye on. I wouldn't be surprised if Braden ends up losing her. There's definitely a reason why they're continuing to give us this story with Braden and Rebecca, and her going down this downward spiral. It could be one of many reasons which just chips away at Braden, the loss of a loved one. So Rebecca Weston, let's keep an eye on her, especially if she continues to take product. Who knows, could she even die from an overdose? Now, over at the precinct, Obi was held overnight by Detective Carter. He kept quiet in regards to any sort of connection to any sort of drug-related activity, also being very careful to not drop Nomar's name in it. However, Carter soon turned the conversation to the green cards. He did some digging, and he found Rashad Tate's name on the application that helped his brother come over from Nigeria. And it doesn't take a genius to work out or connect the dots to the man in the middle, Tariq St Patrick. This is also where Carter used a very similar tactic to what Angela once did with Nomar.
Did Nomar really leave that picture of the girl on his phone?
I grabbed it from a child porn case. It's not even Isabel.
Good girl.
Definitely a classic law enforcement tactic to either get information or strong-arm their man. Like Carter said to Tariq in 402, this was going to be fun, and he is relishing the challenge to bring down this entire drug network. We then see Obi making his phone call to his brother. What he didn't know was Drew was also there with him. He then asked him to come and pick him up from the precinct, but unfortunately, this is where his innocent brother, who was none the wiser, let it slip about the green cards. He thought Obi obtained these green cards from the company that he worked for, and we are going to come back around to that in just a moment. Now, Drew knew he couldn't get Obi from the precinct, so he rang the one person everybody rings, Davis McLean. Unfortunately, he couldn't either because he's suspended. However, he's keeping that very close to his chest for the time being, but because he couldn't go, he sends his assistant, Perla Tanaka. As she comes face to face with Carter and threatens to go public with his mishandling over Obi, again, we learn just how much of a shit Carter actually gives. He's someone who's definitely going to push the boundaries, and he's going to push them until he gets what he wants. Now, as Drew began to question what Obi was doing at the precinct, Obi made a deal with him to keep this quiet from Nomar. They shook hands on a deal which would benefit both, where Drew would keep quiet and also where he'd get a promotion. Little did Obi know, Drew is one of the biggest snakes, never trusted to harder. He then went back on his word and revealed to Nomar someone reached out to Rashad Tate to help him with the green cards, which of course was Tariq St Patrick, something which he said he obtained through the proper channels in 402. The reason why Drew did so was because he knew what the consequences would be. He wanted Obi eliminated, which opens up the number 2 position, and in ruthless fashion, Nomar gets rid of Obi. But before he goes, he did make a point that Nomar did agree with. Tariq is smart, resourceful, and a very clever young man, someone that can be worth a lot more alive than dead. I also agree with something else Obi said. Nomar really is a devil. Now over at Stansfield, for Tariq, he needed to find a way of getting in with Zion. So after class, he begins to put some very clever chess moves in motion by using Law 2 from the 48 Laws of Power. Never put too much trust in friends, learn how to use enemies. He gives Effie a sample of the product and pretends he got this on campus, which made Effie believe that someone was dealing on her territory, knowing full well this would cause chaos between Nomar's organization and Roman's, and we all know chaos creates opportunity. But sticking with Stansfield for just a moment, it was also accidentally revealed to Brushandria Diana is pregnant, and the question that Brushandria asked was very similar to what the doctor asked in 402. Does she really believe she can balance being at Stansfield while having a baby? Diana believes graduating from Stansfield will give her the opportunities she's never had, which also goes back to how she believes she can get out of the game. But will she? And will it be kept quiet she's pregnant around campus? Even though Brushandria said she'll keep it to herself, all it takes is one person, and we all know how gossip travels fast. Now, with the information from Tariq, Effie takes it to Nomar, but just before she does, she walks in on Kane and Nomar getting pretty close, which I will come back to in just a moment. Now she hands the product that Tariq said was being sold at Stansfield, which Kane says is from someone called Roman, who we met at the fight club. So Nomar gives the order to take him off the chessboard, which is Kane's forte. Kane is someone who commands respect on the streets, and you can certainly tell a lot of these guys do fear him because of who he is.
And I think Kane, as long as the streets respect him or fear him, whatever, he'll be happy with his position.
So after he gets the information for Roman's re-up, he makes his move. He lights up this van which is full of product, but also inadvertently creates an opportunity for Tariq to get back in the game with Zion. Tariq made the perfect chess move using his enemies, all while keeping his hands clean, although it isn't quite checkmate just yet. there's still a long way to go against Nomar and also Detective Carter. So, while Kane hit Roman's re-up at the precinct, we had Carter in conversation with Kamal Tate. He was trying to gather intel in terms of what he knows about Tariq St Patrick, and he wasn't wrong in what he said. He said he has a way of manipulating people around him to do whatever he needs him to do. Just like we saw him play Effie, it was way too easy for Tariq, because he's finally starting to learn how to use his enemies against each other, just like Kanan used to do back in Power. But as they start to press Kamal Tate around information he knows, Detective Calder interrupts them about a hit on a van in the Bronx. So, they all make their move, including Kamal Tate, and as I've mentioned before, you do get the feeling that this task force is different compared to the previous ones. They seem like they're proactive, making the right moves, doing their due diligence, and doing it very quickly and efficiently. They ran the plates and already tracked this back to a 1 Roman price, and after Carter got into a bit of a chase, Kamal Tate was on hand to stop him. So, I do feel like Kamal Tate might have just earned his way onto this task force, and in regards to Roman, he is in big trouble. I wouldn't be surprised if he talks, because you can bet Carter will go hard in on Roman, especially after he realizes Obi's disappeared. Now after the hit, Tariq got the text from Davis saying he's in, but just on this relationship between Brayden and Tariq, you do get the feeling that sometimes it is pretty one-sided, and if we were to be unbiased, Tariq can also be pretty selfish, just like his father Ghost. There's Brayden telling him about his troubles with Rebecca, but Tariq just ain't interested. Whereas when he needed Brayden when it came to his issues with his family, even if it meant burning the Westerns, he wanted Brayden to have his back. So, even though they have this brotherhood and they are loyal to each other, there is a bit more loyalty from Brayden's side. Again, father like son. I also mentioned earlier on how we needed to pay attention to this conversation around how Tariq said they can't keep secrets, but another that will definitely cause issues going forward is Brayden's new reckless lifestyle. It was teased before season 4, and so him having coke in this moment, you do get the feeling it's just the beginning. Brayden is about to go crazy. We all know rule number 1, never get high on your own supply, but this relationship with Elle and this moment is definitely huge, especially because they have plans to move their product wherever this group goes. Now over to the Tejadas. This is where the Power Book 2 Ghost budget has probably gone, on Monet's wardrobe, but in all seriousness, we see Monet opening up to Jeanette. She knows Diana was lying, but she just couldn't figure out about what and why. But can she really be surprised? She's the one who taught them everything they know, but what she wasn't prepared for was her kids using everything she taught them against her. Again, it comes back around to Lorenzo's warning, it just wasn't going to end well. Now something else that was ending was Davis's marriage. His wife has filed for divorce, which let's be real, isn't surprising considering the amount of affairs he's had. Now as Tariq sits down in Davis's car, Davis tells him he's happy to front the 50k, but he questions. He knows why he's doing this, but why is Tariq? In short, he believes it's his destiny, his birthright. He tried his hand at being a regular civilian, but he realized he just couldn't do it. He also felt like he was pushed out of the drug game. He didn't make that choice of leaving himself. Tariq is also thinking about revenge, and that's also another reason why. He wants to bring down everybody that betrayed him, but revenge is also a dangerous game. I do agree, Nomar, Effie and the Tejadas, they do have to get it, but it does need to be timed right. Like Zion said about Ghost, he was able to come up with solutions before they became a problem. And with that being said, there is another threat he needs to be wary of, Detective Carter. He might have not been able to get anything on Obi, but Davis warns he will find another way, which could even be through Roman Price. So, will Tariq take Zion's advice on board? Will Tariq try and solve the problem of Carter before it does become a big problem? Now on this Davis and Tariq partnership, Davis is in because he's suspended from practicing law and he also knows Tariq pays well. But Davis is also someone who loves playing both sides. He presented Nomar with documents to say Obi and his brother disappeared to Dubai just to cover her tracks. That's the kind of service he can offer for the right price of course. However, it's a very dangerous game, and as much as I hope Davis makes it out of Ghost Season 4 alive, you can't help but think, with him losing his brother Theo, with him on the verge of losing his law license, with him on the verge of divorce, he is slowly becoming a man who has nothing more to lose. With Kane and Effie, he questioned her around where she got this product from, because we all know this isn't the same Kane from Season 1. When something doesn't quite add up, he will question, investigate and play detective. But now that Kane is in Nomar's bed, Effie admits she should never have missed her interview at Stanford. So, I do wonder if she'll end up switching sides, because I'm sure as we all know, Effie's gonna look out for Effie. With Nomar, she knows you're either in or out with a bullet. Alliances are also always chopping and changing in the world of power, and there definitely will be a few more twists to come. So let's see if she's smart enough to create an exit plan for herself, because as smart as she is, She knows she just can't leave, and I also think she knows, as independent as she wants to be, she can't do this on her own either. Now, as the night was coming to a close, and as the Tejadas sat down for dinner, I think we all knew this dinner scene would be anything but normal. Just as they thought they could get past their issues and move forward, Monet got a message from Pinky, and so did Tariq. Now, the reason why Tariq was quick to question, as she sent this footage to Monet, was because he knows Diana being exposed puts Monet one step closer to uncovering the truth. It was Tasha behind the gun. The fact that she knows Diana betrayed her doesn't mean it's over. She'll definitely still want to know who pulled the trigger. So, I do wonder how Tariq plays this. Now, as Monet was just about getting her family back together, she picked up her phone and she couldn't believe what she saw. It was the Ring doorbell footage from Kate Egan's house. Diana was caught red-handed. The truth was out. Monet couldn't believe it and neither could Kane. It was also made pretty clear Drew was also in on the plan. And so as they made their quick escape, Kane goes after them but stops short in pulling the trigger. And I think the same will also go for Tariq. The only thing that saves Diana from the wrath of Monet, Tariq and Kane is the fact that she's pregnant. For Drew, they've already begun to lay the foundations in this episode for an all-out battle between the brothers, but for now, the hunt is on. Monet, Kane and Tariq will be on the hunt for Drew and Diana, so will they survive? Or is the writing on the wall for at least one, if not both?